Hi everyone, today I'll be presenting a 3-year transformation vision and implementation plan for the Qantas Group. We'll start with table of contents. We start with context and disruptions all the way up to recommendations on slide 16, and you will finish with bibliography and appendix. So Qantas undergoes this transformation from a relatively strong position. Its major resources include its aircraft and network, skilled workforce, engineering capability, brand customer data, and frequent flyer ecosystem. However, as the BMC on assignment 1 showed, Qantas cannot form value independently. Airports, aircraft manufacturers, fuel suppliers, technology providers, governments, and alliance partners all influence its ability to deliver the customer experience. This creates a structural vulnerability. Qantas operates a capital and emissions-intensive business model while relying heavily on organizations outside its direct control. My previous analysis identified 3 particularly important and interconnected disruptions. First is digital and ecosystem dependence. Customers increasingly expect seamless digital booking and disruptions management, while dependence on external technology providers creates cyber and service risks. Second is customer and trust regulatory scrutiny. Service communication or data failures can simultaneously create reputational, legal, and financial consequences. Third is aviation decarbonization. Qantas has around 10% SAF target by 2030. SAF stands for Sustainable Aviation Fuel, while the current proportion identified in my previous analysis was approximately only 0.2%. The key point is that these are not 3 independent problems. They interact across Qantas's entire ecosystem and customer journey. Qantas therefore has both a reason and an opportunity to act now. Assignment 1 discovered that Qantas has strong financial, technical, safety, and network capabilities, but only obtain moderate readiness for transformation. Capability is uneven because areas such as sustainable fuel and digital resilience depend on external providers, while organizational complexity can make coordinated implementation difficult. There is also an information action problem. Strong performance can provide the resources needed for transformation, but it can also encourage management to wait until disruptions becomes unavoidable, which is not good. The strategic risk is therefore confusing successful operational modernization with deeper business transformation. My proposed vision is that by 2029, Qantas becomes a more trusted, digitally resilient, and lower emissions aviation ecosystem, delivering reliable customer journeys through secure technology, responsible partnerships, modern operations, and an empowered workforce. This vision has 4 elements: trust, adaptability, resilience, and transition. Week 6 emphasizes that transformation occurs in an environment that continuously to change. Therefore, a successful transformation should leave Qantas better able to respond to the next disruption rather than simply achieving a fixed destination. The vision translates into 3 strategic objectives. The first is trusted and digitally resilient customer journeys, moving Qantas from reactive service recovery towards proactive, transparent, and secure customer support. The second one is accelerating lower emissions aviation through fleet efficiency, SAF partnerships, and better integration of emissions into operational decisions. The third one is building workforce and ecosystem capabilities through cross-functional teams, employee involvement, and a stronger partner governance. These objectives are deliberately connected. Digital transformation without workforce capability will struggle to scale, while decarbonization cannot succeed without collaboration across suppliers, government, airports, and Qantas itself. So the change kaleidoscope provides the starting point for designing the implementation. For Qantas, time pressure is mixed. I've got cyber and customer trust issues still require immediate attention, while sustainability has a longer but fixed goal by 2030. The scope is extensive because the change affects customers, technology, fleet, fuel, workforce, and external partners. At the same time, important features must be preserved, particularly safety, culture, and operational expertise. Diversity and power are also significant because people like pilots, engineers, cabin crew, unions, regulators, and suppliers have different interests and influence. Combined with moderate readiness, these factors suggest an executive-led but participative, staged, and adaptable implementation approach rather than standardized top-to-bottom solution. Week 4 clarifies both the depth and the speed of this change. In terms of the depth, the plan is predominantly second order because it changes the underlying assumptions. For example, customer trust becomes an enterprise-wide responsibility, and third-party cyber risks becomes part of Qantas's own governance rather than simply a supply issue. In terms of the speed, I recommend evolution rather than revolution. Because the transformation is substantial, so a big bang approach will be inappropriate for the safety-critical airline with complex workforce and ecosystem dependencies. The strategy is therefore fundamental change being implemented progressively through coordinated initiatives, pilots, and learning. The key capability behind this approach is weak for sensing, seizing, and shifting framework. Sensing means that identifying changes early through customer data, cyber intelligence regulations, SAF markets, and employee and partner feedback. Seizing means mobilizing resources, for example, investing in digital resilience, forming SAF partnerships, or redesigning service processes. Shifting means embedding and scaling what works, changing supplier standards, redesigning internal processes, and reallocating resources. This matters because Qantas cannot just predict every single future disruption, which is just not feasible. The objective is therefore not perfect forecasting, but an organization that becomes increasingly capable of detecting change and adapting repeatedly. Implementation is organized into 3 coordinated workstreams. The first focuses on trusted and resilient journeys through real-time disruption communication, simpler rebooking, secure customer platforms, and stronger supplier cybersecurity requirements. Importantly, these changes should begin with target pilots rather than immediate group-wide deployment. The second workstream focuses on efficient fleet deployment, SAF partnerships, and operational optimization. The third develops the people and ecosystem capabilities required to make both other workstreams sustainable. Governance needs to provide strong direction without turning the transformation into a purely top-to-bottom exercise. I would recommend board oversight, CEO sponsorship, an executive steering committee, and a dedicated transformation office responsible for coordination, dependencies, milestones, learning, and benefits. Delivering responsibility remains distributed across these 3 frameworks. At the people level, Week 4 identifies communication, participation, and negotiation as different responses to resistance. Employees need clearer explanation of why change is necessary. Frontline staff should participate in designing solutions, and unions and powerful ecosystem partners should be engaged through genuine negotiations rather than simply informed after decisions are made. The transformation also requires protected resources. These include cyber and digital investment, data measurement capability, workforce development, SAF partnerships funding, and dedicated transformation leaderships. Week 5's project lifecycle provides the execution logic. Initiating by approving the vision and governance, plan the resources, baselines, and pilots, execute the initiatives, monitor progresses, assumptions and risks, and the transition mature initiatives into business as usual operations, which is the BAU operations. I recommend staged gated funding rather than committing the entire investment upfront. This allows Qantas to scale initiatives supported by evidence, redesign weaker initiatives, and stop activities that are not creating sufficient value. Week 6 shows why project completion alone is not an adequate definition of transformation success. 4 dimensions. Initiative is where the program is progressing as planned. Performance is where the business outcomes are improving. Health is where the employees' behaviors and organizational capability are developing. Value creation is where the Qantas is becoming a stronger business. A KPI might be increasing the SAF use, while the KSF is having a reliable SAF partnership in place. Importantly, these measures should be reviewed as transformation evolves rather than treated as permanently fixed. So the roadmap here converts the vision into a 3-year sequence. In 2027, the focus is mobilize and pilot, establish governance, create baselines, and assess suppliers. In 2028, Qantas scales and integrates successful initiatives across digital services, workforce capability, and lower emission targets. In 2029, the focus shifts to embed, learn, and renew from the progression so far. Not all uncertainty can be handled through traditional methods. Known risks such as limited SAF supplies, cyber threats, workforce resistance, and regulatory change can cause issues. However, Qantas will also face problems such as emerging technologies, geopolitical shocks, or changes in customer behavior. Therefore, the response should be to sense, test, measure, learn, and adjust the roadmap. My recommendation is therefore to approve a 2027 to 2029 evolutionary transformation built around trusted and digitally resilient journeys, lower emission aviation, and adaptive workforce ecosystems. The immediate action are to endorse the vision, establish the transformation office, fund the first phase of diagnostics and pilots, and begin employee and ecosystem engagement. Thank you for listening.